Hello and welcome to Solent Sports News. I'm George Harrison and here are your 3:25 headlines. The draw for the Qatar World Cup is set to take place today at 5 p.m. England find themselves in pot 1 having topped their group. Wales and Scotland are still yet to secure their places in the competitions with playoffs awaiting them. Manchester United midfielder Bruno Fernandez has signed a new contract with the club. The 27-year-old's new deal runs until 2026 with the option of extending it by a further year. He has contributed to 49 goals and 39 assists in 117 games for Man United and has won the Player of the Year award twice. He joined the club from Sporting Lisbon in January 2020. Mikel Arteta has won the EA Sports Premier League Manager of the Month. Arsenal won 3 out of their 4 games, only losing to Liverpool. North London have dominated March's awards, with Harry Kane winning Player of the Month earlier in the day. Arsenal Women's Champions League run is officially over as they were knocked out by German giants Wolfsburg. They lost 2-0 at the Volkswagen Arena with an own goal from defender Leah Williamson and an early opener from former gunner Jill Roord. The Gunners were the last English side in the competition but bow out at the quarter-final stage. Wolfsburg will play Barcelona in the semi-finals. Tomorrow sees the resumption of the Premier League after the international break. Southampton take on Leeds at Elland Road, hoping for a top 10 finish. Max Timms, James Simmons and Sam Holmes talk us through some of the fixtures.
Cheers that, George. I'm joined by Premier League correspondents James Simmons and Sam Holmes as we look forward to the Premier League action this weekend. The first teams in action are Liverpool, who face Watford, and Man City, who face Burnley. James, how do you see those two ties going?
Well, it's 2 matches that you'd probably expect both teams to win, but at the same time there's a sort of unexpected element thrown in at this point in the season. That's, the relegation scrap. Both teams, Burnley and Watford, are fighting for survival at this point. So I think it's going to be 2 quite scrappy matches. I think, we're probably not going to see Liverpool or City play the sort of silky football we expect of them. But in the end, you'd probably assume they're going to get the 3 points. City are only 1 point above Liverpool. Both teams won, I think, the past 5 matches. It's going to be very tight going into, the end of the season, the final run. They face each other on the 10th of April. You're looking at that as probably being the title decider, because you'd assume, given the quality that both teams have, they're going to keep on picking up 3 points each week.
And obviously, as we know, in a tight title race, injuries can be a key difference in terms of who wins and who loses. So what is the injury news for these two sides?
Well, Liverpool are pretty much fine. Trent had to return from international duty after a hamstring problem, which, Klopp originally said he's going to be out for weeks, but he seems to have miraculously made a recovery. And in terms of City, Stones also had to return from England duty, and Ederson had to return from Brazil with illness. So they're both, sort of touch and go on whether they'll actually be able to play. They're, undergoing scans now. They're undergoing tests now, and we'll just have to wait and see till tomorrow. But other than that, City also have Ruben Dias out with a hamstring problem. So, you're going to expect probably a slightly weakened defence. But other than that, City's still got a lot of quality in their squad to play.
And more locally, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Southampton will be playing, although travelling up to Elland Road to face Leeds. Obviously, Leeds in a relegation battle. Southampton probably safe. Sam, how do you see this tie going?
It's going to be a tricky one for Saints. They need to bounce back from their past 3 defeats consecutively. They also exited the FA Cup disappointingly, but it was expected at home to Man City. They face Leeds, who are without Patrick Bamford. He's going to miss a remainder of the season, so that's good news for Saints. But Leeds do have Rafinha and Calvin Phillips back in their squad as they look to pull away from a bottom 3 and pick up some needed points.
And the 5:30 kickoff is obviously United versus Leicester. United obviously in a big top 4 scrap at the moment. Are you hopeful for a win for the Red Devils?
They look good for it. Leicester have been out of form this season. They've had quite a mixed season. Of course, Man United have had their own problems. They're 4 points behind Arsenal at the moment. A win would see them go just 1 point behind, but they would have played more games. They've had good news today. Bruno Fernandez has signed a new contract, so look to use that as a positive going into this Leicester game. Now, Leicester, they've got a really important Europa Conference League quarter-final against PSV on Thursday, and we've seen Brendan Rodgers rest players earlier in the season when he's got a big European match coming up. So United fans will be hoping he does that again and that they can get the 3 points.
Cheers for that, guys. That's all from us. Back to you in the studio, George.
It's a big weekend ahead for England's women's cricket team as they take on Australia in the final of the Women's World Cup. England advanced to the final in comfortable fashion, defeating South Africa by 137 runs as spin bowler Sophie Ecclestone claimed a maiden international fifer for the first time. Ecclestone finished with figures of 36 for 6 as the Proteas were bowled out for 156. England finished the day on 293 for 8. The final will be available to watch for free on Pick TV, Sky Showcase and the Sky Sports YouTube channel. Headingley is set to host England's Test match against New Zealand from the 23rd of June. They also are to host the final match of their one-day international against South Africa on the 24th of July. The ECB had suspended Yorkshire's right to stage England games over its handling of the Azim Rafiq scandal. Yorkshire chairman had this to say on the matter. It is an overwhelming vote for positive change. This support will help Yorkshire County Cricket Club to be an inclusive and welcoming place that gives us the clarity and certainty we need to keep building this great club. Yorkshire's right to host England matches was reinstated subject to key requirements being met by the end of March. Yorkshire's Director of Cricket, Darren Gough, had this to say on the situation.
There's a healing process that needs to be done on all parts. I wish Azim all the best in his future. I know it's been difficult for him as well as difficult for everybody that's been involved in Yorkshire as well, including the people that have lost their jobs, because on a human level I had huge empathy for them.
In tennis, the Miami Open final takes place on Saturday with Naomi Osaka taking on Poland's Iga Swiatek for the grand prize. Osaka fought back to beat Belinda Bencic 4-6, 6-3 and 6-4 to reach her first final since she won the 2021 Australian Open. Swiatek, the new female tennis #1, won the Indian Wells title last week. The Pole was the first player to reach the finals of both American hard court events since Victoria Azarenka won both back in 2016. In the men's semi-final of the Miami Open, Francisco Cerundolo takes on Casper Ruud on Saturday. The winner of this close contest takes on the winner of the other semi-final, which sees Hubert Hurkacz take on 18-year-old Carlos Alcaraz. Hurkacz prevented Russian star Dani Medvedev from becoming the outright #1 men's tennis player in the world by beating him in the quarter-final. Alcaraz, however, shocked the world #5 Stefanos Tsitsipas in the other quarter-final. On Wednesday, a highly anticipated fixture took place as the Solent women's netball team took on the men's rugby in a game of netball, all in the name of charity. The money of the event goes towards Movember. Here is Hayden Baker with the full report.
The Solent Sports Complex was host to the much-anticipated matchup of women's netball and men's rugby, who went head-to-head in a charity netball tournament to raise money for Movember. 2 games took place, with the rugby and netball committees facing off as the freshest of both teams competed in the second. Rugby captain James Cromie states the importance of the event.
It's a cause pretty close to my heart. I've had family members that have been affected by it. So having everything that we've done this year, starting with the charity rugby match and doing the walk in November itself, it was massive. And today we've raised so much money, and it's so good to see so many people down supporting us as well and supporting the cause. But yeah, it's a cause that's close to my heart, so it means a lot.
The crowd favourites were the netball team, but who could argue against it with the rugby boys never playing the sport before? However, team spirit was shown on both camps, with committee and fresher teams warming up together with some basic passing drills in an attempt to get focus for the games ahead. It was going to be no easy task for the rookie players, who for many had very little knowledge of the rules of the sport they were about to play. But teamwork and willingness to raise money for a good cause is what pitch captain Ben Sherburn insisted was key to the event.
Atmosphere, everyone played in good spirits. You know, there was a lot of sportsmanship between teams because obviously rugby players, we don't really know how to play netball, so netball girls were helping us out kind of thing, which is really nice. So yeah, it was all around a good game.
As the opening match drew closer and the preparations ended, the nerves of the players started to show. The netball team proved too much in front of a home crowd in the committee game, but club captain Eloisa Morgan states the friendly rivalry helped to raise some big funds.
I think it's a great cause. Obviously we had lots of people, lots of spectators, players paying, so I hope we've raised a lot of money for them.
In the Battle of the Freshers, the Rugby boys came back from behind to steal the win in the dying minutes, drawing the tournament 1-1 at the end of the day. But the winning wasn't the important bit. It was coming together to raise money for a good cause and enjoying the great event that was put on by both teams. Hayden Baker for Solent Sports News.
Former double world darts champion Ted Hankey has been charged with sexual assault. The 54-year-old has had this charge related to an alleged assault of a woman in Cheshire from September 2021. Hankey has been released on bail and will appear in Warrington Magistrates Court on the 6th of April. Stefano Domenicali says the newly created Las Vegas GP will only boost the sport's popularity. F1 confirmed on Wednesday that from 2023 they will be racing in Las Vegas, and it becomes the third race added to the calendar in the United States. The race will have the famous Vegas backdrop that will see cars speed past the sites at around 212 miles per hour. The CEO of the Formula One group had this to say on the announcement.
We're going to be here doing something spectacular where the fans will love to come, and we are looking forward to see that very soon, because we're talking about November 2023. It seems very far, but it's not.
Staying in Formula One, and the four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel will make his return to the grid at the Australian Grand Prix. The German driver who races for Aston Martin contracted COVID-19 before the opening weekend in Bahrain and has also missed a second race in Saudi Arabia. The 34-year-old will line up alongside teammate Lance Stroll in Melbourne for the 2022 season's third Grand Prix on April 10th. In boxing, George Kambosos and Devin Haney are to fight for the undisputed lightweight title in June. The fight will be held in Melbourne, which sees Kambosos put up all of his belts, trying to add Haney's WBC belt that he defended on 4 occasions. Kambosos is currently 20-0, while Haney is 27-0. Now in golf, Russell Knox holds a one-shot lead of the opening round of the Valero Texas Open. The world number 169 made 4 consecutive birdies on the back 9 to post a bogey-free 65, giving the Scot a narrow advantage. The winner of this week's event will secure a last-minute invite to the Masters tournament in Augusta. Knox is among the players needing victory to qualify for the prestigious golf tournament. Giannis Antetokounmpo became the Milwaukee Bucks' all-time leading goal scorer after a narrow win versus the Brooklyn Nets. The Greek scored 44 points, which took him past a record of 14,211 points held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. On to women's rugby. England will have scrum half Natasha Hunt in the squad for the first time since November 2020. Hunt will return in England Women's Six Nations game against Italy on Sunday. She stepped back from international rugby in 2021 because she was unhappy in the England camp. That's all from us. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage over the past 3 years. Take care and goodbye.